Consumer associations in Cameroon cry foul as overbilling in electricity creates a short circuit in consumers who are calling on INEO to sit up and proceed with an instant fixing of the billing injustice. The BAMENDA City Council launches an operation to step up the provision of vital services in a city that is multiplying strategies to cushion the effects of the Monday ghost towns. Cameroon turns down the offer by the African Football Confederation to host the Final Four of the African Champions League on the grounds of the ongoing fight against the coronavirus. Those are our top stories. Hello and thanks for joining us. I am Ben Menopufong and this is the 7:30 News.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
Thanks for joining us once again. The Consumer Association in Cameroon is crying foul against the electricity supply company INEO for the sudden rise in the cost of electricity being imputed on them by INEO over the past couple of months. In a rather speedy reaction, the electricity utility company has acknowledged the price irregularity, promising to address it with immediate effect. Gerald Nanje Yambe went investigating where things went wrong and is here with his findings.
From the start of 2020, consumers have been crying foul on the rising electricity bills.
Main challenges faced by our consumers are that of the constant increase of the consumption rate and the fact that their complaints are not taken into consideration.
Officials of the electricity supply company have acknowledged such complaints and attributed it to billing by estimation as a way to ameliorate their system.
We are facing many problems. In order to ameliorate the level of the service that we are giving to our customers, we wanted to test this new way that is already used in other countries. The estimation is not a bad process at all. Everything will be done in conformity with the regulation.
Both the Consumers Association and the management of the electricity supply company are looking forward in creating a common platform where such complaints could be addressed.
INEO, as he has taken the engagement to call the association, Consumer Association, to a meeting. What we are asking for INEO, we need a platform of consultation.
For the reading of meters, all these sites that were concerned will be returned on the reading by direct reading on the meter. All the claims that were raised. After the analysis we made, we will cancel the bills and we have taken 72 hours.
The consumers are hoping that the regulators step in to resolve the problem.
While the consumers are complaining about paying unduly high electricity bills, many insist that the electricity sector regulatory agency must step in to put order. As we hear in the following report by Clarice Array-Takang, hopes are high that the situation comes under control without any further delay.
Section 7 of the 2009 narrative from the Ministry of Water and Energy precises that regarding electricity, billing is done either on the basis of the meter reading of customers or any other method put in place by the distributor with the prior agreement of the regulator. The problems faced by inhabitants complaining about unnecessarily high electricity bills puts the electricity sector regulatory agency to task.
The distributor has acknowledged their fault, and this came after a meeting with the Minister of Water and Energy. They have been asked to suspend the activities which caused the problem. They have equally promised to resolve the issue.
Officials have recommended collaboration between the organ charged with distributing energy and the electricity regulator in order to avoid consumers paying for what they did not bargain for.
The distributor was supposed to send a note containing what happened. We are yet to receive it. It is from there that we will know what to do and how to satisfy consumers, especially those who were overcharged.
The hope is to see the situation resolved with the Electricity Sector Regulatory Agency ensuring that the regulation is respected.
As the barrier measures have it, and like the head of state has never stopped reiterating, the wearing of face masks in public places is obligatory all over the national territory. And despite the constant reminders by public authorities and health officials, some Cameroonians are blatantly undermining the exigency, be it in taxis, in the markets, in the streets, and other public places. Many are those who go about these places without the least protection on their faces. Beatrice Ngum was out in some of these places to find out why this sudden change of attitude, and this is what she came away with.
A one-on-one talk, void of any COVID-19 preventive measure. These duo, like many others in the nation's capital, have forgotten the basic. They are not in compliance with government prescription on the obligatory wearing of face mask in public places.
I'm not in the middle of the people. When I'm in the middle of the people, I put it. When I'm inside taxi, I put it. But when I'm walking alone, I don't put it because when I cover it and I'm moving like this, it makes me not to breathe fine.
My mask, I feel that when I'm alone, I don't have any fear. But if I'm with other peoples, I feel that I can be attended by the disease.
I have my face mask with me. I have difficulties breathing, so it's tough on us. Corona is real, but my health doesn't permit me wear it.
But not all have forgotten about the wearing of a face mask. In some public structures, like in some supermarkets, no face mask means no access into the building. The Prime Minister during the last cabinet meeting was firm. The wearing of face mask in public places is obligatory. To help the public conquer the virus, hawkers are bringing the face mask even closer to the population. But their response is not encouraging.
The same laxity is in the observation of the barrier measures, particularly the wearing of face masks, is the order of the day in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, a situation that is not only a cause for concern for the health officials, but the government of the country, as the number of infections in the country continue to rise by the day. Cynthia Etim now reports on the situation that prevails in the nation's economic capital.
The dramatic downward trend in the wearing of face masks in the city of Douala is a cause for concern. Many inhabitants go about their daily activities void of their face mask, thereby exposing themselves to the virus. But what could explain this laxity?
I wear it, but I cannot resist it for long. I cannot breathe well when I put it on.
Some people just know that the coronavirus doesn't exist, and they are not taking it serious. But for me, even myself, I'm putting on because it was a degree given by the president.
Whatever the state said that you should do, it's good to follow it and protect yourself before the state protecting you.
Cameroon records a little over 15,000 confirmed cases of coronavirus, with Douala being the second highly infected city. Reason why the Prime Minister, head of government, Joseph Diongute, has recently reminded all and sundry that the wearing of face masks must be respected to the latter.
At the last interministerial committee meeting, the Prime Minister, head of government, Joseph Diongute, stressed on the obligatory wearing of face masks in all public places. After an evaluation of government response strategy against COVID-19, the head of government instructed the Ministry of Decentralization and Local Development to intensify sensitization at the local level with the support of mayors and municipal councillors. Cynthia Ibong Saptala spoke to the minister, George Elanga Obam, on what he intends on how he intends to handle the situation and put together the following report.
Faced with this general relaxation on the obligatory wearing of face mask, Prime Minister Joseph Dion-Ngute stressed on the involvement of municipal authorities in promoting the wearing of these protective masks in public. To ensure that these recommendations are reinforced at the council levels, the Minister of Decentralization stated that efforts have been made by mayors to make mandatory the wearing of masks in their municipalities.
It is not a question of what we are going to do. It is a question of how are we going to do better what we are doing already. When we received the new instructions of the Prime Minister to reinforce that activity, we wrote again to the mayors and to the local administrative authorities, asking them to make sure that the measures that they were conducting already being reinforced.
Promoting mass production at the local levels, plus its distribution, will be followed by continuous sensitization, which, according to the minister, is key in bringing the population to understand the necessity of these precautionary measures.
We are trying to make sure that the sensibilization of the population is done so that it can reach all those who are living in councils.
The recent reports show a stable case fatality rate due to an early detection of infected persons. Community transmission of the virus remains a real threat that can be prevented by respecting government guidelines, one of which is the obligatory wearing of face masks in public.
In response to the Prime Minister's instruction, the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Civic Education plans to work in collaboration with decentralized units to get youth volunteers take the lead in their respective communities to support nationwide response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Already, some 26,000 young volunteers are reported to be creating impact, and the Minister of Youth Affairs and Civic Education, Mununa Futso, says his ministry, which has already put in place useful tools to fight the pandemic, will innovate and reshape response as the health crisis evolves. Beatrice Losamba reports on youth input in the fight against the global enemy.
The wheels are already in motion at the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Civic Education. A network of 26,000 national youth volunteers drive initiatives in their own communities to support nationwide response to COVID-19.
10 million population are touched directly by those teams. When the government called for return back to school, we launched what we have called citizenship and patriotic and year without COVID-19.
The youths take on different frontline roles in this battle, carrying out proximity campaigns in markets, streets, and youth-friendly platforms like the social media.
Other young people committed themselves in the producing of local masks and hydrohygienic alcoholic solutions.
If youth input to the COVID-19 fight was recognized by Prime Minister and Head of Government during the July 10 Cabinet meeting, the rising daily records compels more action to stop COVID-19 in its tracks.
Our teams, since the prescription of the Head of Government during the last evaluation meeting, they are deployed under the supervision of mayors.
At every step of the COVID-19 crisis, the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Civic Education has modified its response to lift the challenge of the new normal. And with the ugly turn the virus has taken, the National Youth Volunteering Program is set to innovate, reshape, and move faster.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
And And as underlined already in preceding reports, the wearing of face masks in Cameroon is a key measure to halting the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. And in his last address to the nation on the 19th of May this year, President Paul Biya insisted that the wearing of the face mask is henceforth compulsory in public places. The president's orders tie squarely with top medical instructions to prevent the spread of the disease. And in the following commentary, Benin Bumagana says the presidential instructions should be taken with utmost seriousness.
The world got up one morning to discover a new invader, COVID-19, which had come to steal, to kill, and to destroy. Even before health experts and governments could develop barrier measures against the pandemic, it has started claiming lives in hundreds. These barrier measures by WHO and governments, especially that of Cameroon, later insisted on the wearing of face masks, especially in public places, as a key preventive measure against the disease.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
The president's insistence for masks to be worn by everyone is not just another stanza in a political demagogy, but a serious instruction that will reduce the spread of COVID-19. As a matter of fact, both Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC and WHO, saying the evidence is clear that masks help prevent the spread of COVID-19. The CDC adopted this rather radical position following rising disease prevalence and a clearer understanding that both pre-symptomatic and asymptomatic transmissions are possible, even common, without a mask. And this is the case with Cameroon. Refusing to wear a mask, therefore, is an outright disregard for health and administrative instructions, and such a rebellion is only detrimental in a world of tragic inevitability. That the local government at one point would put a fine on anyone not wearing a mask in a taxi or public place, or that no one is admitted in a public building without a mask, are only measures that help city dwellers protect themselves, their families and their friends. Many may frown at the attitude of some uniformed officers who will press on them to wear their masks, but the truth remains. They are helping you stay alive, for prevention is better than cure, or better than a long line of afterlife prayers for their souls to rest somewhere in peace.
There is an insulin crisis in hospitals and pharmacies in Cameroon. Diabetes patients in the country have for some weeks running been struggling to cope with the situation, which is putting their lives on the line. Gilbert Ongene went finding out why the insulin crisis and reports that the issue rests between the inability of the company in charge to make the supplies available and a heavy debt burden owed to the company by pharmacies and hospitals in the country. Gilbert?
Apart from a few private structures, the main supplier of medicines to public hospitals, health centers and pharmacies in Cameroon is the National Center for the Procurement and Supply of Essential Medicines, CENAME. This parastatal is, however, faced with a problem of paying for their supplies due to huge debts owed them by health institutions across the national territory.
We have many difficulties to get paid back what we have furnished. We are presently witnessing a problem of supply of insulin.
Patients know where the shoe pinches most.
The price of insulin has increased. It has moved from 3,500 to 6,500 CFA francs and even 7,000 francs.
Pharmacists, on their part, say the closure of frontiers due to the COVID-19 pandemic could also be blamed for the shortage of insulin.
Every day patients come to the pharmacies to ask of the disponibility of insulin, but you cannot satisfy them. We can also explain that by the lockdown of the frontier because of coronavirus.
Something needs to be done to salvage the situation so that patients who are already mourning under the pain of diabetes should not bear an additional burden.
Public health officials are virulently condemning the sudden change of attitude by Cameroonians, most of whom have stopped respecting the barrier measures to limit the spread of COVID-19. More than half of the population have deliberately stopped the wearing of face masks in public gatherings, an attitude that continues to put the country at the risk of escalating infections. Let's now join our reporter, Baldwin Sama, at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center, who, together with his guest, Simon Ezegu, a mental health specialist, explore why it is crucial for people to stick on to their face mask. Hello, Baldwin, and your guest. Welcome on board.
Good evening to you, Ben Menopufong. As you rightly said, it becomes quite disturbing to notice that more and more Cameroonians have stopped respecting most of these outlined measures by the government to limit the spread of COVID-19, especially that which has to do with the wearing of a face mask in a public gathering. And that is why public health experts have condemned this attitude on the part of most Cameroonians. With our guest tonight, who is a mental health specialist, Simon Ezegu, we shall be talking about sensitizing Cameroonians as to the need to continue wearing a face mask. Good evening, Simon.
Good evening.
Remind Cameroonians through this platform of the need to continue wearing a face mask in a public gathering.
Well, based on the context that we are living now, regarding the COVID-19, we must consider the wearing of face masks as a healthy attitude that we need to adopt in order to protect ourselves and those around us, if we must put an end to this coronavirus in our country. Just in line with the instruction of the head of state, mandating each and every one to put on the face mask was in a public area. But it is sad to say, we still see some individuals that go on against these instructions without wearing the face mask. And they should know why they put themselves at risk and of the one of the nation.
And what should be done to avoid finding ourselves in a similar situation where most Cameroonians stop wearing a face mask in a public gathering?
Well, as a mental health specialist, we cannot end our effort to continue to raise awareness to the communities in collaboration with the community leaders on the importance of wearing of face masks in order to preserve the community and the nation at large. Because we have to do it through a massive and a continuous sensitization throughout the communities in our nation so that we can put an end to this virus in our lovely nation.
Thank you so much, Simon Ezegu. We remind our viewers that you are a mental health specialist, and during the traditional press briefing, the public health experts laid a lot of emphasis on wearing a face mask, which is mandatory in the country in a public gathering. So Cameroonians have to continue wearing their face mask and continue denouncing others who refuse to wear a face mask in a public gathering. Ben Menopufong, you wear a face mask, I wear mine. We contribute our own quota in limiting the spread of COVID-19 in Cameroon. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Baldwin Sama, and we hope that your message has gone across. And you're watching the 7:30 news on the Cameroon Radio Television, the CRTV. We are beaming live from Yaoundé. The BAMENDA City Council has announced plans to go beyond the just instituted Monday sales, which has been put in place to support what the city mayor calls the provision of vital services in the city. Mayor Paul Achobon Tembang announced the project at the BAMENDA 1 market this Monday, where he donated tricycles to facilitate the collection and disposal of waste in the city. Mercy Kusi reports from CRTV Northwest.
3 months ago, the city mayor of Bamenda embarked on a weekly Monday sale around the city, and today he is upbeat that the exercise has produced the results for which it was intended.
We are progressing, and what we're going to do, we'll keep doing it, encouraging the people to come out, encouraging the people to go back to their places of work, encouraging businesses to go operational.
He's here again at the Bamenda 1 market, and exceptionally today, he has offered shaving machines to 14 barbers and donated a tricycle for waste disposal to residents of Bamenda 1.
We want to reach every common man. We're not just looking for the high class, we're looking for the middle class and the low class.
The recipients of the gifts say they are timely and vital.
We really need people that they understand the suffering of the masses. When people like our city mayor
thought about this gesture, it was a breaking news for us.
For now, BAMENDA 3 is the only subdivision that has not benefited from the sales, and Mayor Paul Achombong has assured that necessary arrangements are being made to that effect.
The use of the social media platforms have witnessed a dramatic surge over since the information and technological revolution made its way in Cameroon way back in the year 2000. ICT experts say of the multitude of platforms that appeal to Cameroonians, Facebook is topping the chart with over 3.5 million users, with WhatsApp, Twitter, Instagram and the others following way behind. In the first of our week-long series on Adopt the Social Media Network and Us, Ewane Epole presents a gallery of the social networks in vogue in Cameroon today.
Social media platforms, notably Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, are increasingly being used in Cameroon for various reasons, including work, entertainment, communication, business, and education, among others.
Facebook comes first as a social media with a total number of 3.5 million. And we also have other social media like LinkedIn, which is 640,000 users. Concerning the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic, there are other platforms which have been used. We have the cases of Zoom, Microsoft Teams, we have WhatsApp, and also other tools like, let me say, GC.
Many people, both young and old, use it to communicate through messages, videos, pictures, and drawings.
We are using Facebook, we are using WhatsApp, we are using Google, and we are using some site webs that help us to do the promotion of tourism.
At service, we use mostly Skype, and we use WhatsApp to pass across messages when we have meetings.
Really use Facebook, of course, which is perfect to connect with friends and family.
Twitter, YouTube, and Snapchat are also gaining steam in the digital media space in Cameroon.
The International Bank of Cameroon for Savings and Loans, BSEC, has donated the sum of 100 million CFA francs to support the ongoing fight against COVID-19. The check was handed over to Cameroon's Public Health Minister, Manuda Malachi, by BSEC's Chief Executive, Rashdi Jahaje, who described the gesture as their contribution to the Anti-COVID Solidarity Fund instituted by the head of state. Details with Kwangchua Marie-Claire Do from CRTV Center.
Since the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic in Cameroon, the International Bank of Cameroon for Savings and Loans, BSEC, has put in place measures to check the spread of COVID-19, both to the staff and its customers. In a bid, therefore, to intensify the fight as well as reinforce government's efforts, the Citizenship Bank has decided to go an extra mile.
L'objet de cette visite, ça rentre dans le cadre.
The objective of this visit falls in line with the fight against the corona pandemic. Today, BSEC knows all what is happening in the country and has decided to manifest its support to the solidarity call launched by the head of state, Paul Biya.
Lancé par le chef de l'État, Monsieur Paul Biya.
Handing over the check of 100 million CFA francs to the Minister of Public Health, Manuda Malachi, the BSEC boss said it falls in line with one of their missions, which is a citizenship bank and that of being closer to the population.
J'espère qu'avec cette contribution,
I hope that this contribution will go a long way to reinforce efforts already put in place by government to check the spread of this pandemic.
Pour lutter contre cette pandémie.
The Minister of Public Health, Manuda Malachi, on his part, saluted the kind gesture, saying it will enable government continue in its strive to keep the pandemic at bay.
30 News on the Cameroon Radio Television. That's where we leave it for tonight. Thanks for watching and good night.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing